the name of the game to catch up. So, okay, 29A, right by his two dots, maybe 15 lines from the bottom. So we finished all these interesting medicines that they practiced back in the day, and now we're up to getting a haircut from a non-Jew, from an idol worshiper. So the Mishnah told us you cannot get a haircut from an idol worshiper. So now the price is going to expand. What do you do if you want to go get a haircut from an idol worshiper? He's the only show in town. What should you do? You're allowed to use a mirror. We'll explain why in a second. If you use a mirror, then it's going to be permitted. But and if an idol worshiper that's getting a haircut from a Jew, what's the problem with that? They had this ponytail they would only cut every so often, and it would be used for their idols, and therefore, when you get to that part of the ponytail, you have to pull your hand back, and you cannot continue. So, the idol worshiper, the Jew getting a haircut from an idol worshiper, he has to look into a mirror. So says Gemara, well, 1 second, what's the case? Hey Chidami, what's the case? If you're in a public area where there's other people there, and there's no worry the guy's going to kill you. So what do you need a mirror for? So and if it's just you and the idol worshiper, and you're worried he's going to kill you, so what's a mirror going to help you? So how does a mirror solve the problem over here? So if you look in the mirror, therefore what? So says the Gemara, no, really, it's just you and the idol worshiper. And since there is a mirror, you look like a very important person because you're so precise exactly how your hair is and exactly the way you want it, and therefore you give off the appearance of a very special person, a very important person, prominent person, and that will hopefully prevent the idol worshiper from killing the person. Now, there is a very discussion not known to many, but this is one of the places that comes up, is in general mirrors. It's not so simple to stare in a mirror if you're a male. It could be under the prohibition of not wearing women's clothing. There's under that prohibition. So you have to know there's staring and there's just looking. But this is one of the interesting places that it comes up. So, okay. Rav Chana Bar Bizna went to get a haircut from an idol worshiper. Bishvili de Naharda. So it sounds like he was not in the city of Naharda. He was in the outskirts of Naharda. So, and it sounds like it wasn't a fully public area. It definitely wasn't fully private. It was a place people used to pass through. It sounds like the outskirts of town. So Amar Lehi. So now idol worshiper says, Chana Chana. So he calls him Chana Chana. Yoi kuech lazuga. Your neck will be great for my scissors, for my razor. Meaning, he wants to kill him. So Amar Teisili, so he said, okay, apparently I'm deserving of this because I violated the words of Rav Meir. Rav Meir, who never allowed to get a haircut from an idol worshiper. Lo avar. And the words of the rabbis, you didn't violate. They only permitted getting a haircut in a public area with other people there. So you're in the outskirts of town. Doesn't seem to be so many people nearby. So didn't you violate their words also? So he said, no. Kevan deshchichi rabim, it's kirshus harabim damu. He understood that since the place where many people come through, it has the status of a public area in terms of getting a haircut from them. Okay. If you have an idol worshiper who's getting a haircut from a Jew, once you get to his ponytail, you gotta pull your hand back. Vikama, how much you have to distance yourself from that? Rav Malkia, Rav Adamar Ava, Sholosh Etzbais. So Rav Malkia says, in the name of Rav Ada, 3 fingers. The kol ruach v'ruach to each side. So up, down, left, and right. So you have the 3 fingers away from that area. Okay. Amar Rav Chanina, Breder of Ika. Now this is just parenthetical because we just mentioned the opinion of Rav Malkia. Rav Malkia said about this case, 3 fingers, you have to separate yourself. Now there's another person, Rav Malkio, who made other statements. So says Rav Chanina, Breder of Ika, should Shvachos the gumos. Literally, the shput is the thing you hold the meat by the barbecue. The
spit.
The spit. Thank you. Yeah. Shvachos, maidservants, the gumos, the pits. So that was all. Those are three separate cases in Shas. That was all Rav Malkiyo. He spoke about those three cases. Okay. Beloris, our case, the ponytail. A for makla, the not putting the ashes on a wound. The gvina, halach about cheese, we'll see later on. That was Rav Malkiyo, not Rav Malkiyo. That is the opinion of Rav Chanina, the son of Rav Ika. Amar Rav Papa says, when it comes to a Mishnah or a Brisa, Masnisin umasnisa, that is Rav Malkiya. When it comes to Shmatita, just teachings, not a Brisa, not a Mishnah, that's Rav Malkiyo. And I'll give you a way to remember, V'simana Masnisa Malkasa. The Mishnah is like the ruler, the Mishnah is the king, meaning the comments on Mishnayos were made by Rav Malkiya. Now, okay, what's the difference between Rav Ada and Rav Papa? They're both attributing Rav Malkiya and Rav Malkiya to different teachings. So the difference is Ike Benayu Shvachos. This case, this ruling about maidservants, in totally different context, would be a difference. Because according to Rav Chanina, the case of maidservants in another context was stated by Rav Malkiyo, but according to Rav Papa, it was from the Tanaic sources. There's a Mishnah Brisa, and therefore be Rav Malkiya. All right. Okay. Here comes the next big topic. A lot about wine and jumping into all these things that are prohibited, and could have many practical applications for us. So, long Mishnah. A lot of interesting cases. Elu dvarim shel ovdei kochavim asurin ve'isuran iser hana. The following things are prohibited. Of the idol worshippers are prohibited, not only for consumption but for benefit. You can't get benefit from them. Not only you can't drink it, you can't sell it either. What are they? So here we go. So hayayin, wine of the idol worshiper, and the vinegar of the idol worshiper, that was originally wine and now it's vinegar. That is prohibited by the idol worshippers. Now, yeah, we're gonna see a little bit later, but there's really gonna be two reasons why they're gonna prohibit the wine. Either it's because they might have used it for their own idols, and therefore, if they actually use it for their idols, that's for sure prohibited. So we're worried any wine they have might have been used for idols. There's going to be another conflicting reason is because we want to avoid mingling with them. So we prohibited their wine. Now, how you reconcile those two is probably going to make a lot of practical differences between them. But right now, until we get to next week, the assumption is it's because they might have used it for idol worship. Okay, so vinegar, that was wine. It's also like that. Becheres, Hadraini, so you have earthenware, Hadrian earthenware. We'll see what that is. The oros levuva, they used to slice open a live animal and take out its heart. So, and then use that for their idol worshippers. So, use that for their idols. So, those are prohibited. The oros, the skin of the animals that have that incision. Rabbi Shimon Omer only bisman shekerish lo ogul usher, but mashach mutter only if it's a circular incision, and that then it's going to be prohibited. But if it's not, then I guess it's either maybe square or rectangular. So that is permitted because they don't use that for their idols. Yeah. Basar hanichnas lavos l'chavim mutter. So now the idol worshiper is, if he's entering into a place of idol worship, you can buy the meat from him, assuming it was properly shechted. You can do business with him. However, after he exits his idol worshiper place, then it's prohibited because he might have used that meat for idol worship. Right? It's It's like the offerings of the dead, which I guess just refers to idols, no? It's like offering, right? Offering dead things to the...
It's not sacrificing.
It's like what?
It's not sacrificing the dead.
Which are prohibited. Sacrifice of the dead is a way of saying idol worship, no?
Presumably comes from an animal that was offered to the idol.
Probably came from an animal that was offered to the idol. Okay. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. Now, haholchim l'tarfus. Tarfus is like a degrading way that we refer to their places of idol worship. Haholchim l'tarfus. If they're going to one of those places, then for sure you can't do business with them. However, because they're going to go and thank their idol, they're going to thank the idol for the money that they just received from you. However, if they're coming from their habayin mutarin, if they're coming from their tarfus, from their idol worshiper location, so then it's going to be permitted because they're already on their way out. They're not going to turn around and go back and thank and praise their idol. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So one is the meat that entered into the one that the idol worshiper received, and one that he had already. In this case, when he himself is going to the place of idol worship. Okay. Next cases. Yeah. No dos ha'ovdei kochavim v'kan kineim. So you have these flasks of the idol worshippers, these leather flasks, and the kan kineim is more like earthenware flasks. So the two cases. V'yayin shel Yisrael. Kanus behen, and you have Jewish wine, Jewish-owned wine inside the flasks of the idol worshiper. Maybe you're storing it by him, or maybe, So asurin, so those are prohibited. V'isuran iser hana. Not only are they prohibited for consumption, but they're prohibited for any hana, any benefit. So selling them or whatever, that's prohibited according to Rav Meir. At the end of the day, it's wine that was held with the idol worshiper. Could be that he used that wine for his idol work, for his idols. The Chachamim Omrim ein isurin iser hana. No, the prohibition is not iser hana. It's only an iser to consume it, but it's not prohibited in consumption, for consumption. Hachartzanim v'hazagim, so the different grape seeds, the leftover part of the grape or the grape seeds of the idol worshippers, asurin v'isurin iser hana de Rav Meir, are prohibited for consumption and prohibited for any benefit. That is the opinion of Rav Meir. That's all going to be, I think, explained in the Gemara. The Chachamim Omrim, no, it depends. Wet ones, lachin asurin, yeveshin mutarin. If it's moist, then it's going to be usser. Sounds like, I don't know, moist. I guess it was on the vine for the last 12 months. And yeveshin is mutarin. If it's already dry, then it's going to be permitted. I guess if it's wet, then there's more of a chance they use it for the idols. If it's dry, they don't use that for the idols. I guess nothing comes out of it. It's yavesh. There's no wine coming out of it. So then you don't have to be worried. But if it's wet, so then you're worried that some of the juice came out and they used it for their idols. Hamorius. So you have this morius is this fish oil. The gvinas base onaiki, and you have the cheese from the place called base onaiki. Shel obde kochavim, of the idol worshiper. Those are asur and meisur and isur hana. You cannot consume them, and you cannot get any benefit from them. Rashi says that a beis onaiki is a village, a name of a village, but sounds like other cheese that you can get benefit from. You can't consume them, but you can get benefit from them. And that we'll have to see in hopefully 4 or 5 days. So that's all Rabbi Meir. Chamurim ein isur and isur hana. So Chachamim consistently keep saying there's no prohibition to get benefit from them. It's just a prohibition to consume it. We have to see more what they argue about in 4 or 5 days. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda. So now, Rabbi Yehuda. Shol Rabbi Shmuel asked Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yehuda says over the following story. Rabbi Shmuel asked Rabbi Yeshua, they're walking along the way. Why did they prohibit the cheese of an idol worshiper? They take this cheese and they put it with congealed cheese of the carcass. So now they would use the congealed cheese of the carcass it sounds like 4 idols, and therefore this cheese was mixed with that cheese, so they're going to prohibit that. They're going to prohibit that.
About the rennet and the vela.
What's a rennet? Rennet is congealed. Something
Rennet is the agent
that congeals the cheese. Yeah, the rennet of the nevela. Yeah, meaning they would mix that which congeals the cheese with this cheese. So therefore, it's prohibited. I guess they would want their cheese to be congealed also, so they would put that congealing agent into other cheese, and that would congeal it, and therefore it's prohibited. So he said, I don't understand. Amru lo v'halo kibas ola. So in ola offering, which has to be like an ola, fully goes up, it can't get any benefit from it, nothing. Which is chamura mikebas nevela. It's more strict than the congealment, than this congealing agent of the nevela. It's more strict. You can't get any benefit from it. You can't get any not only consumption, no benefit from it, nothing. So, and yet, what do they say? Amru Kohen Shadaito Yafe Shorfachaya. The Kohen that's not repulsed by this and not disgusted by this, he can drink this. Sounds like, but you can't benefit from the ola. You can't eat the ola. But it sounds like this congealed cheese, how is that really part of the animal, or is it a separate entity? So it sounds like it's really a separate entity. It's like the milk. The milk is for sure different than the animal. So to hear the congealed cheese, if they want to drink that raw, so they allowed them, even though you can't get any benefit from an animal, it's a korban. You can't get any benefit from it. But it sounds like this they allowed. So it sounds like you have to say that it's not really part of the animal. Because if it was part of the animal, you would never allow this. And yet they allowed it. So you see, an ola is way more strict than the carcass of a idol worshiper, and yet they allowed it. So they should allow our cheese also. So the lo hodulo. So they said you should allow a kohen to do this, but the rabbis disagreed. Rather, they said of al amru, einanin velo molin. So they said no, you can't get any benefit from it. They were. It sounds like it was more rabbinic though. They were very strict. They said you can't get any benefit from it, and obviously you can't use it for your own benefit. Below molin, but I don't think that's biblical. I think that's going to be a rabbinic prohibition. If you were to benefit from it, you're not over the prohibition of me'ilah, of using sanctity for your own purpose, because it's not really part of the animal. It's the congealed fat, which is a derivative of the animal. Okay, so either way, Amar, so he had to retract and give a new answer about why they prohibited cheese. So Amar lo mipnei shema midinosa v'kebas egle avodos kochavim. They take the cheese and they mix it with the congealed agent or the congealed cheese of the calves of idols. So Amar lo, if that's what they were doing, imkain lamalo asur bahana. So then why is it not prohibited to get any benefit from it? It's only for consumption. If you're really worried that they might use it for real idols, with the congealed fat of a real idol, of an animal that was used for idols, then not only can't you eat it, but you can't get any benefit from it. So, okay, so now he had to respond, but he didn't want to respond to him. We have to know why he didn't want to respond. That's in the Gemara. So he distracted him. He diverted the conversation and distracted him. So he sealed the He went and he distracted him into another conversation. So the second verse in Shir Hashirim, so there's a word dodecha. Now, if it's dodecha, it's in the masculine, it's referring to Hashem. If it's dodayach, it's in the feminine, it's referring to the Jewish people. The verse is talking about the praises of the love relation between the Jewish people and Hashem. And he asks him, how do you read it? Hechatakore, kitovim dodecha miyayin, or kitovim dodai. Do you read it dodecha in the masculine, or do you read it dodayach in the feminine? So if it's in the masculine, it's the Jewish people talking to Hashem, which is the whole Shir Hashirim is going back and forth, verse after verse, who's speaking to who. So either it's the Jews speaking to Hashem and describing their love for him, or it's the other way, that Hashem is talking to the Jewish people, describing his love for us. So Amar lo, so Amar lo, he told him, Kitovim dodecha. Here's the problems over here. Dodai. Sounds like he said it. He reads it in the feminine. Amar lo, no, ain't a davar kain. It can't be. Why? Our friends taught us that the next verse was l'reach shemanecha tovim. Talks about the good fragrance of your oil, and that shemanecha is in the masculine. So too, it makes sense that this verse, the second verse, is also going to be in the masculine, and it's going to be dodecha and not dodayich. Okay. Now here we go. Yain minol. How do you know that the wine of the idol worshiper is prohibited? So Amar Rabba Baravu Amar Kra Asher says the verse in Devarim Asher Chelev Zivachemu Yochelu Yishtu Yein Nesichem Yakumu Ve'Yazruchem Yalechem Sisra. So towards the end of Devarim, the verse compares wine to a sacrifice. Ma Zevach Aser Behana, just like their sacrifice. Sorry, just like our sacrifices. Yeah. Sorry, our sacrifice, not the idol worshippers.
Just nothing of the idols.
Yeah, it is idol worshippers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just like the idol worshippers' sacrifices are prohibited. So too, ma zevach aser b'hana, af yainami aser b'hana. So too the wine is prohibited b'hana. So we're comparing the wine to their sacrifices. So says the Gemara, zeva kuva minalan. How do you know that their sacrifices are prohibited from getting any benefit from? The chsiv, relating to last week's parsha, and the week beforehand, the verse in Tehillim says, "Vayitnu leBaal Peor." The Jews attached themselves to Baal Peor, this idol called Baal Peor. Vayochlu zivchei mesim, and they went and they ate sacrifice of the dead. So it's comparing ma meis aser behana, just like a dead person in general is prohibiting any benefit from the dead person. Av zevach nami aser behana, so too the sacrifice is also going to be prohibited from getting any benefit. Says the Gemara, now how do you know that a dead person is aser behana? Umeis gufei minalan asya. It says sham mi egla rufa. It says by Miriam, Miriam died over there, and it says by Egla Rufa, Arpu Sham Esa Egla. They went and they cut its neck. They broke its neck. Benachal Malahol and Asur Bahana. Avkanami Asur Bahana. Just like by Miriam, a dead person Asur Bahana. So to this animal is also going to be Asur Bahana. So now the Hasam Minalan. Hasam minalan. What's the reason? What's the reason that an egla arufa is prohibited from getting any benefit? It says in the section of the Torah referring to an egla arufa that it says the word over there kapara. It says they went to the egla, to the calf, yeah, and then it says. Oh, yeah, over here. It says, it should be an atonement. So, kapara ksibba kikachim. So it says the word atonement. So the Gemara understands now that the word atonement, that makes it similar to sacrifices, which are also atonement. So therefore, just like sacrifices are prohibited from getting any benefit from, so too the egla, which says kapara by the egla, is also prohibited to get any benefit from. And therefore, that's learned to a dead person that also you can't get any benefit from. Yeah. Okay. So says the Gemara about chomet. So you have vinegar that was originally wine is prohibited also. So let's make a very simple calculation. Wine is prohibited. Now you let it sit for a while and it becomes vinegar. Why would you have thought it's permitted? What permitted it? The fact that it was sitting around for longer and became vinegar? That's not a reason to permit anything. So says the Gemara, yeah, pshita. Mishum da achmet pakal isrei, because it was vinegary, because it stayed for a while and became more sour, therefore the issue just flew away. The usually prohibition will just fly away. So that's obvious that vinegar that was one time wine is going to be prohibited. So says the Gemara, Amar of Ashi ha'asla Ashmi. No. Come teach you a novelty. That chomet shalanu, our vinegar, biyad obed kochavim, that is in the hands of the idol worshiper. Ein tzarich chosem betoch chosem. So a special halacha that our vinegar that's in the hands of the idol worshiper does not need a double seal. Okay, why not? Imin shum insuche. If you're worried he's going to come and pour the wine out for his wine libations, for his wine sacrifices, so for his idols, so lo minsachi, they don't pour vinegar for their idols. So that we're not worried about. The imi shum ichlufe, maybe he switched it. Maybe he switched the wine for the vinegar. So since there's one seal, lo taruch mezayif. He's not going to go put effort in and forge the sealer, and switch it from being vinegar to wine. So So basically, what's that do? So our Mishnah says that that vinegar, the novelty of vinegar is that even though vinegar is not used for their idols, so they don't use vinegar for their idols, it's still going to so since they don't use vinegar for their idols, therefore we can extrapolate that if it has one seal, it's going to be permitted. Okay. Rabbi Law, Shaninu yain mevushel shavit lechavim shayim mitchatzel yain aser. It says cooked wine. So once again, same kind of idea. Wine is prohibited. Now it got cooked. That's also prohibited. So obviously, what would you have thought? Because it got cooked, the isur goes away. So pshita, mishum de ifshal pakal isure, because it got cooked, the prohibition goes away. Ravashi ha'asal ashmin and yain mevushel shalanu. Same idea. Our wine, our cooked wine, that's in the hand of the idol worshiper. Ein sarich chosem does not need chosem betochas, does not need a double seal. Only one seal. Why? They don't use cooked wine and pour it in honor of their idols, for their idols. On the next page, they don't, and maybe they switched it, cooked wine with other wine. Since you have one seal, they're not going to go and put the effort in and forge it, and therefore you don't have anything to worry about. As long as it's sealed, you are good to go. Okay. Taner Rabbanan, a lot about wine today. So yain mevushol the alontis. So we'll see what that is. But yain mevushol and this thing called alontis, which I think has some wine flavoring to it. Sounds like it was special for certain kind of segulas, spiritual healings. So either way, shall obde kakav masurim. Cooked wine or this alontis mixture of the idol worshiper is 100% prohibited. Alontis kibriyasa muteris. However, this alontis kibriyasa is like in its original form, meaning when it originally didn't have any wine. When the idol worshiper had it, it didn't contain any wine. So that's going to be fine. The fact that he had this mixture, which later was mixed with wine, that's fine. It's only if originally when he had it in his possession that it had wine in it, that is going to be a problem. The Ezuhi alontis. Okay, so what is exactly this alontis? As it says in Ketanya and Shabbos, it says in Shabbos, Osin anumolin. On Shabbos, you can make anumolin, so a drink. The ain osin alontis, but you can't make alontis because that's more of a medicinal. That's more of a medicinal drink, and unless there's a certain need, like we saw last week, you can't just make you can't take medicine unless there's a certain need. So anumolin, yes, but alontis, no. The ezuhi anumolin. What is anumolin? The ezuhi alontis. What is this alontis drink? So anumolin is yain midvash. Vilpulin is an anumolin, which is allowed, is a wine, honey, and pepper drink. That's fine. Alontis is yain yoshan. It's going to be considered old wine. Umayim tzlulin, clear water. The afarsimon, and afarsimon is the spice. I forgot the name of the spice. What's afarsimon? It's the balsam. Thank you. The avdi lebei masusa. It's when you come out of the bath, when you come out of bathing, you would take this, and this would help you. Guess what? It'll help you cool down. Yeah, help you cool down. Okay, fine. Rabba v'Rav Yosef, the Amri Travayu, Yayin Mazug Ein Bo Mishum Gilu. Okay, so now, at least back then, you have to know if it applies nowadays, but we know that there was uncovered liquids. We were scared a snake is going to come and put its venom in. Some I think are still strict about it. I believe other Ramah, I think, double check, but it says it's allowed and there's no need to be stringent about it. Either way, the wine that was diluted, there's no problem mishum gila of it being left overnight open, left open, because the snake is not going to get to it. Yain mavushal ein ba mishum nisuch. Cooked wine, there's no worry that it's going to be used. It's going to be used, poured for their idols. So now we have a question. Ibailahu. Yain mavushal. Cooked wine. Yesh bo mishum gilui. Or ein bo mishum gilui. Does yain, this cooked wine, is that a problem of leaving it uncovered? Are you worried about snake venom getting into it? Or no? Tashma, let's see. We're going to have some interesting stories. Hey, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi. Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi testified. Al yain mavushal. There's no problem with leaving it uncovered. Rabbi Yana Bar Yishmael Chalash. Rabbi Yana Bar Yishmael one time was sick. Chalash, he was sick. All Legaber Yishmael. Rabbi Yishmael went and entered to visit him. All Legaber Yishmael ben Zirud, the son of Zirud, Rabbanon, Lish Yulebait, to go and visit him. So Yasi, the Kami Bailu, they were sitting and they asked, Yain Mavushal, Yezu Mishum Gilu, and Mishum Gilu. Does cooked wine, is that under the prohibition of liquids that are revealed or not? Amar Lahu Rabbi Yishmael ben Zirud, Hachi Amar Rabbi Shimon Levi. This is what Rabbi Shimon Levi said. Mishum Gavar Rabba, in the name of a very, very great person. Who is that very great person? Umanu Reb Chia. That was Reb Chia. He said the following: Yain Mavushal Ein Bo Mishum Gilui. Cooked wine there is not under the prohibition of leaving it uncovered. We're not worried about snake venom. Amrulei Nismoch. So Amrulei Nismoch. So they asked, could we rely on that? So Machri Lahu Rabbi Yana Bar Yishmael. So I guess he pointed what he pointed. He motioned to Rabbi Yana Bar Yishmael. So alive al tzavare. So on me and on my neck, he allowed it. You could rely on us. Lies on us, yeah. So and he said that it was permitted, correct? Yeah. Okay, good. So Shmuel the Avlet, interesting name. Shmuel and Avlet have a yasvi. They were sitting in ice with a kamayu chamra mubushala, and someone brought in cooked wine. So now mashchelia, they put their hands back. They wouldn't touch it. So Amrulei Shmuel said, "Hare Amri an mushal en mishum yain nasa." What are you worried about? It's cooked wine. They don't use that to pour for their idols. So that's what he asked them. Now, Am say the Rebbe Chia, Igluyela hahu chamra mevashel. It sounds like she had wine. The maidservant of Rebbe Chia had a wine that was cooked. The cooked wine that was left open, and she brought it to Rebbe Chia. So now, Amar Allah, he said to her, Amru, Yain Mavushal Ein Bo Mishum Gilu. They say cooked wine. There's no problem of it being revealed. So now, Shamid Rav Ada Bar Ava. So Rav Ada Bar Ava heard this, and Igli Le Chamra Neziga, and he went and revealed he diluted wine. So Amar Le Hare Amru Yain Mazuk Ein Bo Mishum Gilu. There's no problem with diluted wine either. That there's no problem of the snakes. So Amar of Papa, it depends though. Lo Amar Ella de Mazik Tuva. It's only if it's very diluted. Aval Mazik, Velo Mazik, somewhat diluted, somewhat not diluted. So that's still gonna be a problem. Yeah, Aval Mazik, Velo Mazik. One second. Amar Papa, Lo Amar Ella de Mazik Tuva. Aval Mazik, Velo Mazik. Shasi. Like he said, yain mazik, diluted wine, ain't no mishum. There's no problem of it being open. Amar Papa lo amar ella de mazik tuva. If it's very diluted. Aval mazik velo mazik. Shasi. Oh, the snake drinks. The snake is going to drink it, and therefore it's going to be a problem.
Snakes too.
Yeah. Aval mazik shasi. Says the Gemara, mazik velo mazik mi shasi. Asking if the snake drinks it.
Normally, snake drink partially diluted.
Yeah, does a snake drink partially diluted wine? Is that really true? The Rabbi Baravuna said, yeah, sorry, he was Habi Ka'azil Be'arba. He was going along the way. On a boat. I was on a boat, yeah. Habi Naked Chamra, he was holding wine in his hands. And he saw a snake. He saw a snake. It was like coming close to him. So Amar Leila Shame, he told his assistant, his servant there. So Same Eine, the Dane. Same Eine Dane sounds like somehow poke out the eyes of the snake, meaning show the snake something. Do something that's going to get the snake away from here. So Shakil Kalimaya, he took some kind of pitcher, a little bit of water, and Shadabe, and he threw it into this bottle, this flask of wine. Visar leachore, and the snake went and it left. So what do you see? If the wine is diluted, the snake goes away. So the snake goes away. So Visar leachore. So what's the answer? Does diluted wine, does that get you, does the snake go away or does it not go away? So the difference is Achaya Masar Nafshe, a Meziga Loy Masar Nafshe. On pure wine, it's gonna go give up his life, the snake, but on diluted wine, it's not. Says they want to really Meziga Loy Masar Nafshe. If the wine is diluted, the snake's not gonna go give up his life and go into it. The Rabbi Yana had nice. No, sorry, there's a place. He was Habe Bag Bure. He was in a place Bag Bure. Akbar means a mouse. He was in a place called Bag Bure. The Amri Lei Bar Hadya. The Amri Lei Bar Hadya. Some say it was Bar Hadya Have. The Amri Lei Bar Hadya Have or Bag Bure Have. So Yasi the Habu Kashasu Chamra. They were sitting there and they were drinking wine, Meziga, diluted wine. Now Pashlahu Chamra sounds like it was overflowing. Pashlu Chamra Bekuba sounds like
they lifted some wine in the barrel.
So meaning the wine was overflowing.
No, it sounds like they didn't empty the barrel.
Snake wanted the wine at the bottom.
They lifted.
Pashlu Chamra Bekuba. There was some leftover wine in the jug. Tsaroni Pronka. And so they went and they covered it over with a cloth on top of the jug. The shakil maya, and I guess they emptied the water out. So they saw the snake, the shakil maya. It was taking water, and it was covered over. I guess
the snake wanted the wine at the bottom,
so it got through the cloth that was covered over.
Yes, so it took the water in its mouth and filled the barrel and lifted the wine up so to drink it.
And it got through the cloth. I guess.
I did that.
Yeah. So if we see that I could drink diluted wine.
Very good, Rafi. So the shakil maya and the snake would take. Okay, thank you. The snake would take the water and put it into the jug. Ad demale bekuba the salik chamrei lave. And then it would take the wine from the top, and pronka v'shas would take the wine from the top of the jug, and it would go and it would drink it. So you see that it really would drink and go and be moser nefesh, so to speak, for diluted wine. So Amri, it depends. The mazik ihu shasi. If it dilutes the wine, then it's going to drink it. But the mazik yachrini lo shasi. But if me and you go and dilute the wine, then the snake is not going to drink it. Okay. Let's stop here.
Have some plums here.
Ooh, from the